Any solutions for the bad officiating? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Back at U of L Library, not worried about being too quiet because there's not a lot of quiet going on outside. So I'm not worried about it, but I do have a room all to myself until a student pops in and kicks me out. So we'll see how long that goes. All right. We'll get to the officiating suggestions here in a second. We got A-State and South Alabama playing tonight, and we got an early Week 8 preview, which obviously includes JMU and ODU and a big Southern Miss Cajuns ball game. Troy going to ULM. It is a big week for Sunbelt football. All right, so there's been a bunch of bad officiating. I certainly don't think it's anything new. All right, officials just have not gotten better over the last decade or so. Maybe it's more 4K. We can see the issues, but I don't know how an official can see Kirby Smart calling timeout and then get talked out of it. I don't understand that. We have the bad pass interference calls. All right. We saw, I thought there was a couple of bad pass interference calls against Georgia Southern. And all of a sudden at the end of the game, there are bad pass interference calls against Southern Miss. It's just not very consistent. Kind of a little bit like balls and strikes. I mean, we're humans. And so it's going to be a little bit different each and every time. Although next year, you're going to be able to challenge balls and strikes. So the big solution that everybody thinks is going to work, that I don't, is making the officials full-time. These guys have their regular job. I think they look at film. I was fortunate enough in Mobile to have a former SEC official come in every week, and he would say what he thinks about the calls and what they got wrong and how the officials are positioned and things like that. And we go over the controversial calls. Very nice man. And I wasn't sure, and maybe I probably agreed with him, that going full-time isn't necessarily going to work. These guys watch film. They have probably Zoom meetings now. They get on Friday and go over everything, go over whatever they can on Saturday, and then they call the game. I do like what the ACC is doing, having us hear the conversation that is going on, because it would have been real good, going back to that Auburn-Georgia game, how they could possibly say that the ball had crossed the goal line. The announcers thought it had crossed the goal line. I happen to think it didn't. I don't think the nearest Bulldog punched it out. I think it was the one next to him who punched it out first. But that's neither here nor there. Everybody else agrees that it was a touchdown, except the officials. It would have been nice to hear that conversation. All right. A little transparency. All right. Because back in the day, when I first got down to Louisiana, every conspiracy theory, especially when Alabama was behind late in the season, just to make sure they were going to get into the BCS or the playoff or whatever it was at that time, that calls would seem to go their way. As the officials had the headsets on, it's coming from Birmingham. Obviously, conspiracy theory. But if you have the transparency, you can eliminate that ridiculousness. I still just don't think the full-time official is going to make a difference. They're not going to officiate more games. They're going to go back and see their mistakes. They're going to go back and see their calls. Don't they do that anyways? So I really do like to have solutions when there is an issue. But paying these guys more to work at it harder, I'm not sure is the solution, because I still think they would make the same mistakes that they were making. Maybe you limit the age, right? You got to have maybe a little ageism, right? I don't know if you want to promote these guys quicker at a younger age. That could be an issue too. But obviously there's a bunch of older guys. And And you start doing that in the SEC in September and October, even early August, it's hot. It's tough to do. All right. What has happened, all right, is the players have gotten bigger and stronger and faster. And it's happening a lot quicker than it used to. And so that's how instant replay was instituted. Still don't understand on how an official 5 yards away can place the ball down exactly where the guy went down as he's running up to make that call. I don't understand it. You would think in this day and age, we could have a laser where the ball would be placed exactly where he fell down without the guesswork. All right. Same thing. They finally went to that pylon camera. It's amazing on how there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of cameras on the goal line. You would think that's exactly where you want the camera. But I'm not sure I have a solution. If you guys have a solution on how the officiating can be better, let me know. Because here's, if you're going back to the youth leagues, it's a problem getting officials in the youth leagues. They are not making a lot of money. They are doing this out of the goodness of their heart, given a little bit of time. They're making like $25 a clip. And what do they get? They get mom and dad and grandma and grandpa yelling at them for calling a ball when it was obviously a strike, or the other way around. Who needs that abuse, right? And these major league umpires, although a little bit too much bravado, they don't have home games. They're well paid, all right? Not as well paid as the players, obviously, but they're pretty well compensated. They're on the road for 162 games. Now, maybe a decade, maybe 2 decades ago, they started giving them vacations during the season, whereas they elevated some minor league guys, giving them major league experience. So they weren't on the road 200 days out of the year. That's not easy, right? These baseball players don't like being on the road 10 days in a row. And these officials, major league umpires, used to be on the road all season long. So again, I'm not sure. Obviously, that's going to help. All right. If you get a weekend off, all right, that's going to rejuvenate you. I'm not sure what you can do about the officiating. All right. And don't get me started on Sunbelt baseball and softball umps. Oh, that's not good at all. All right. I don't think there's a whole big delineation between the football, but boy, some of those baseball umpires calling Sunbelt baseball and softball games. We do have a replay in those now, so that is good, better. Sometimes though, you still can't even tell with the replay. It's great. It's kind of amazing, those bang bang plays at first base, because you don't have enough cameras. If they're safe or not. But a lot of times the replays seem to get it right. The one replays that don't, also because maybe you don't have the cameras in the right angle, kind of fair or foul home runs, that can be tough. And it's not necessarily the official's fault, the umpire's fault that they got it wrong. It's kind of the angle that you're looking at, because usually you're kind of behind the play and you can't tell if it's fair or foul. But if you guys have any solutions to the bad officiating outside of making them full-time, or if you think full-time is going to help, let me know, because, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear some suggestions, because I hear a lot of people complaining and I don't hear any real good suggestions outside of the full-time. That's going to cost money, and I don't think you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. All right. Okay, let's take a time out. We'll come back. We'll talk A-State and South Alabama. Can the Jaguars get off the mat, and can Arkansas State build on that momentum of that huge win? What's it going to be about 9 days ago over Texas State? We will do that right after I tell you about Wayfair and FanDuel. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting. But getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe you serve where needs a refresh, or a guest room could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection, every style and every budget. With the free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. All right, let's see here. That shoulder will have the shelves when I'm back in the home studio that I purchased and put together for Wayfair. And you guys know the desk that I use back in the Schultz studios is also from Wayfair. If I can put it together, you guys can put it together. That is for sure. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Have you seen the JMU line? Down to 1.5. ODU would be favored on a neutral site field. Whoa. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day, hoping that the internet is up on Tuesday. So we will be having the home studio. Not going to be all ready. We'll just do it at home. But I'm still unpacking from the Friday move, and hopefully we'll be comfortably at home, and I don't have to bother the U of L students here in the Ekstrom library. All right. And hopefully it's on so we can watch A-State play South Alabama. All right. How about this? South Alabama has one win. Arkansas State coming off a thrilling victory, and somehow South Alabama is 7.5-point favorites. What are we talking about? Like somehow Texas State is favored on the road to Marshall. I'm not sure how South Alabama, I can understand if they were a favorite, but only slight. South Alabama, 7.5-point favorite. ESPN's got it at like almost 64% matchup predictor to 36. I don't know. All right. I mean, South Alabama has just not played well at all, defensively or offensively. They did well against Tulane and Auburn, but then laid an egg against Coastal Carolina. North Texas is really good. They did have maybe their best game of the year against Troy, losing 31-24, but still had opportunities in that one and could not finish it. All right. It is a matchup between two dynamic quarterbacks. You have Jaylen Raynor, who, orchestrated that huge comeback against Texas State, against Bishop Davenport, who I wouldn't say is having a bad season to begin with. But I'm not sure it's great either. All right. It is his first year starting for South Alabama. I mean, he's throwing at a clip that's over 64%. Passing average is 7.1 yards a pass. He has been sacked 12 times, and he has thrown 4 interceptions. He also has run 62 times for 187 yards and 3 touchdowns. Got 9 TD passes. Defensively, they're not very good at all. They have given up 21 points to Morgan State, 33 to Tulane, 31 to Auburn, and we're finding out Auburn can't score. Coastal Carolina scored 38, North Texas scored 36, and Troy scored 31. So they're obviously giving up more than 30. Well, it appears more than 30 points a game. But they gave up the 21 to Morgan State, so maybe they are just under 30 points a game. But the last 5 ball games, they've given up over 30 points. Can Arkansas State take advantage? Arkansas State has scored 42, 14, 16. But those were against Arkansas and Iowa State. They only scored 21 against Kennesaw State. And then they laid an egg. They scored 16 against Monroe. All right. This season would be much different if they had 2 wins against Kennesaw State and Monroe. Even if they had beaten just Monroe, it'd feel much different because they got that win over Texas State. Maybe you say they don't get the win over Texas State if they'd beat Monroe. Who knows? But it is a interesting matchup. Can Arkansas State continue to turn their season around, or can Bishop Davenport and South Alabama save their season? Let's see the rest of the schedule. All right. Gets a little bit tougher towards the end, but they get Arkansas State, Georgia State, and they're hosting the Cajuns. They're going to be favored in all 3 of those ball games. I don't know if they're going to win them, but they'll be favored in all 3 of those ball games. That makes you 4-5, right? And then they got they're at Monroe, not an easy ball game. All right, they may not be favored in that one. They're home versus Southern Miss, depending on what they are. I mean, if they're a 5-5, they're going to be favored over Southern Miss. I don't care if Southern Miss is undefeated in the Sun Belt or not. If South Alabama's won 4 in a row, they'll be favored. And then they are at Texas State, where they will not be favored. Okay, unless Texas State completely falls apart and all of a sudden South Alabama has won 5 in a row. I do not think South Alabama is going to win 5 in a row. Let's see them win 1 in a row, and then we'll worry about the next week and then the next week. Whereas Arkansas State is looking to string 2 wins together. And who do they got coming up? They got Georgia Southern. That's a beatable game. Troy is going to be tough. All right, they are at Troy. They host Southern Miss, and they host the Cajuns. They finish up at App State. That is not necessarily the easiest of all schedules in there. They got 3 road games, 3 home games. They're obviously a touchdown underdog to South Alabama on the road as it is. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Maybe they figured something out against Texas State. Maybe they didn't. We shall see. I'm going to take Arkansas State at least to cover. Okay. If they lose to South Alabama by more than a touchdown, there's some serious issues. I don't think Butch Jones is going anywhere. I know Penn State's got a lot of money to pay off James Franklin. I'm not sure A-State's got that kind of money to pay off Butch Jones. He is not going anywhere. I don't think Georgia Southern's Clay Helton is going anywhere, but unlike other people, I didn't think James Franklin was going anywhere. I can freely admit that. It's amazing that you can have a really good season last year. Someone mentioned they were 1 play away from playing for the national championship game. And all of a sudden he's fired because he's having a bad season. The other stuff doesn't matter. We're just going to concentrate on what's happening now. I know he hasn't won a big ball game, right? Kurt Cignetti, former JMU coach, has more top 10 victories at Indiana than James Franklin has in his time at Penn State. All right. That's a great quote. Great line. You better get the guy right. You better get this right, because James Franklin's done a good job. Not necessarily a great job. He hasn't won a national championship, has played for a national championship. But he's done a solid job at Penn State. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a time out. We will look at the rest of the Sun Belt, a little bit of an early preview. We're trying to get a special guest. I can't really ask for guests until I get my internet on, so we'll try to line up some special guests here once the internet is turned on. All right, we'll talk about week number 8 right after I tell you about game time. College football is back, baby, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Tickets for ODU, JMU, already at $117 per ticket. It's not going to go down. You better hop on Game Time now. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's the promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right. A student just walked in and quickly left. All right. I thought he was going to take over the thing. So it is what it is. All right. I mean, this is a big week. All right. I know it starts off with Arkansas State in South Alabama, which is a 2-4 team versus a 1-5 team. That's still going to be an entertaining football game. All right. That's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be 10-3 is what I'm telling you. All right. What is the over-under? Because you could take the over. And it is on the deuce. The over-under is 59. Each team is going to score 30. It's going to go over. All right. Elsewhere, obviously the big game of the week is JMU and ODU. ODU did not hold up their end of the bargain. They got hammered against Marshall, and yet they're still just 1.5-point underdogs on the road. I think that line has gone down from 3 to 1.5 after JMU played awful. Wow. Total in that ball game, a little bit different than the Arkansas State South Alabama game. That's 46.5. These two teams have outstanding defenses. All right. Outside of the turnovers, Colton Joseph has played better this year than Alonzo Barnett of the third. All right. But it's going to come. Here's what it's going to come down to, and it's not that difficult. All right. Who can stop the run? All right. John Madden can come up. I don't have to be John Madden to figure that one out. All right. So who can stop the run and who can run the football? That's what it's going to come down to. And these two teams are really good at doing both, running the football and stopping the run. All right. That's why JMU beat the Cajuns. Cajuns could not run the football at all. If they could run the football a little bit, they may have won the football game. But JMU stopped that. And then they got beat a couple of times because the lunch is going to be pretty good. But that's the big difference in that game. I am working that day. I'm probably working late that day. So I won't be back until the game is over. But we'll sneak in. We'll see if we can sneak in a little watching of that football game. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Right now, that is the game of the year. We have some other ball games. You got Southern Miss. They're 4-2, 2-0. They are taking on the 2-4 Louisiana Raging Cajuns. This is homecoming. Cajuns 1-1 in the Sun Belt. I mean, I guess they played okay against JMU. Overall, they, again, did not run the football, averaging less than 2 yards a carry. Right. And again, this is a maturity thing for Southern Miss. Are they favored in this football game? Southern Miss is favored by 4.5. They should be. All right. They're a better football team. Can they go in there and take care of business? Do they let it slip away almost at the end, which they did against Georgia Southern? Pittman with a great run at the end. Looked like he was going to get stopped for no gain and end up getting a first down. Would have been 3rd and 6 with about 2 minutes left to go. Instead, he got the first down, ball game. Cajuns are still incredibly banged up. I would take Southern Miss in this ball game. I think the last time Southern Miss was there, the Fighting Will Halls went in there and beat the Cajuns. And that was ugly. That was really ugly. That may have been a lot of Frank Gore Jr. is what it may have happened in that ball game. But we'll see. I think Southern Miss is better. Let's see if the Cajuns can get any better. All right. It is not a loss. If you win this ball game, all of a sudden you're 2-1 in the West. Southern Miss is 2-1 in the West. And you're 1 game short of 500. All right. So it's not out of the realm of possibility of turning the season around. But we'll see. They are a banged up football team. All right. This is a tricky ball game. Troy is taking on Monroe. Troy, a 5.5-point favorite. They have just pulled off thrilling victory after thrilling victory. Whereas Monroe, they've had 3 bad losses. Now, 2 of those losses, they're outmanned. Alabama is 73-0, and apparently Northwestern is better than we thought. They lost 42-7. They didn't look very good against Coastal. 23-8 is not going to cut it. All right. You can't, I mean, Coastal, where'd all that, I guess, came from rushing. They rushed for 277 yards. I need to go back. I'm off today, as it turns out. I'm going to go back and see when the last time ULM against the Sun Belt team gave up 277 yards on the ground, because it's been a minute. Let's see. Well, let's see if we can find out what the Cajuns do last year, because they were really good in that ball game, eventually pulling away 37-23. Let's see the team stats. Cajuns ran for 223. All right, it's not 277. All right. And in this case, the Cajuns were really good. We're not sure about Coastal Carolina being really good. All right. The Cajuns were outstanding. Chandler Fields was 17 out of 26. Silent Perry rushed for 150 yards, 19 carries. So still not 277 against what is. And where did, you know what I need to find out? Where did Samale Collier come from? Because I feel like I've heard that name before. Samari Collier. Is that like a Louisville guy? Stats. Is he? No. He's a senior, but that's not where he's got to be. He had to transfer in somewhere, right? But he let him. Let's see here. Oh, Cajuns. He was a Cajuns quarterback. How about that? Oh, commits to Arkansas State. Decommits from Arkansas State. Committed to the Cajuns. Signs letter of intent. Enrolls for the Cajuns. Okay. He's older. Played for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Transferred from there. And then apparently ended up with the Cajuns. I'm not sure how he's a senior, though, but okay. Are we going back? He's been all over the place. Yeah. Played for the Illini. I'm not sure how he's a senior, though, because it says he played for the Illini in June of 2021. Maybe went to JC. All right. Well, maybe that would make him a senior. 21. Okay. Maybe it would. But that name sounded familiar, but he led them to a victory. He absolutely led them to a victory. All right. Elsewhere in the Sun Belt this week, you got Texas State and Marshall again. Oh, well, they were more of a favorite yesterday. Now they're down to 2.5. Texas State a favorite against Marshall. I think Marshall's going to win that football game. We'll see if Texas State has mailed it in. This is, again, another kind of maturity level for Texas State, because they're probably not going to win the Sun Belt West. And can you get motivated? Because you know Marshall is motivated. Marshall has been looking really good. And when you're playing well and playing exciting football, all right, whether we like it or not, I'm a big believer. If you're going to lose, you got to play exciting football. And they've played exciting football. I mean, look at the points that they have put up in the last 4 ball games. They beat Eastern Kentucky 38-7. They beat Middle Tennessee State 42-28. They lost to the Cajuns, putting up 51 points in OT. And they just hammered Old Dominion 48-24. I mean, that ain't boring. I mean, I guess Eastern Kentucky 38-7, but the offense is rocking and rolling. So looking pretty good there. Okay. I think we got one more ball game. Georgia State, Georgia Southern. I mean, are these coaches fighting for their jobs in this one? I don't think Del McGee is. I don't think Clay Helton is either. But if you want to get the seat any hotter, go ahead and lose to Georgia State. See how hot it gets then. You want to avoid that, right? Again, I'm just disappointed that I thought Georgia State would compete, and they played okay against JMU, but it's one thing if you lose. 28-21. It's another thing if you jump out 7-0 and lose 14-7. You did nothing after that. So I'd like to see them at least compete, right? I was in Jersey when Greg Schiano was there, and he had a bad first year. But there may have been a little compensation would be the wrong word. Because I was there, I think maybe in their first couple of games, they were pretty good. And they didn't win, but they were covering. So someone may or may not have done well with Rutgers that year because they weren't winning, but they were covering. And I thought Georgia State would be more along those lines. Get a win or two in there, but they're struggling. They're straight up struggling. So we shall see. All right, we'll do more of that. Looking for a special guest this week. We shall see. In fact, a couple of special guests. But I got to get the internet up and running at the Schultz studios. Thanks for hanging with me during the transition. It was just a move, and I moved a total of 3 blocks down the street. I still live in the same neighborhood, although coming back from the library, I don't exactly know this neighborhood. I ended up driving back to my old apartment. I'd have it, all right, because you got to go right past it to get to the new place. Thanks very much. We'll be back on Wednesday. Hopefully, we'll be in the show studios with another edition of Locked on Sunbelt. Have a great Tuesday, everybody, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday. You've been watching Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day.